Using Yuba College Library Resources, an orientation to research. Library hours, including the Cyber Lab, Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. This is the temporary location for the library in the cafeteria in the 300 building. This presentation is going to talk about informational sources. The ones that folks are most familiar with, of course, are newspapers, books, journals, magazines. They have been printed on paper for well over 400 years, okay? It's state of the art. However, there are a couple of newer items from this century, the end of last century, that come to us mostly in the digital format, which are blogs and social media. We'll discuss this a little bit more as this slideshow goes on. Now, the different formats. You have web-based formats, books, journals, and other resources. Web-based resources can be anything. Anything that's been printed on paper can be scanned, digitized, and stored. Doesn't mean that like a book that you can get as a paper book or you can get as an ebook. Still the same book. It's just that its format is different, and depending on the class that you're in, how that format will be dealt with when you cite it in your research papers. But keep this in mind. There are different formats of the information that we will be looking for. Another thing to look at is time frame on information. There's a shelf life. It's not that it goes bad, it's just that it can actually improve, like wine, it can improve with a little time on the shelf, so to speak. Breaking news, which is within seconds and minutes of something happening. We all have watched the stories and heard about it. It's sometimes not very accurate. News organizations are in a big hurry to be the first to break that news. Therefore, its accuracy can sometimes come into question. That's where newspapers are a little better. They take a whole day. They do a little more fact checking. They might look at more sources of information before they put their information out. So there's minutes and seconds, and there's days with newspapers. Magazines take an entire week to several weeks to produce the information and distribute it. Again, more fact checking, a little more time to look at everything that encompasses a certain topic, a certain item of research. And then you have journals. Now these tend to come out, they take much longer to come out. They're produced by organizations, associations, universities, colleges. They're put out by academics. They submit them for peer review, which means their colleagues read these and can comment and critique. And so these articles have been vetted by the time they're printed. Again, best in terms of credibility and factual information. Same thing with books. They take much longer, but again, a good book, a good nonfiction book, it's not so much that it's peer-reviewed by individuals. It can be, but publishers themselves will go through a book and have fact checkers. So again, better accuracy, but it has taken so much longer to create a book. And then other types of reference sources like encyclopedia sets and things like that. They collect information over a longer period of time. And yes, there's an editing and review process probably every year for many publications. If it doesn't look like it needs changing, it doesn't get changed. Doesn't mean it, so sometimes then you get so far out your currency, how current is it to your topic, can get a little bit long in the tooth, get a little bit on the old side. So somewhere in here there's a happy medium when you go looking for your data sources. Where do you find these? Now, if you just need books, the old traditional books, you go to the online library catalog. They don't have card catalogs anymore, but you look up the books by subject or author or title that you need, and it gives you information where to find the book on the shelf. Or it could deliver that book to you in a digital format, such as with NetLibrary or Google Books. Or you buy the book for your Kindle from Amazon or for your Nook from Barnes & Noble. So that's how you can find books. Now your articles, these are those short, could come out of a journal, come out of a magazine. Normally you go, because of just the vast numbers of publications out there, You go to an online library database that might have thousands of different magazines and journals digitized that are quick to search and very efficient for finding this information. This slide shows the page for the Yuba College Library, the traditional web page. We're going to talk a little bit about the portal in a second, but this is if you just go to yccd.edu and you click on Yuba College, or it would be yccd.edu. You end up on the Yuba College page. There's a link down the left side that says library. Boom, you're on this page, and they have links to the online catalog and to the databases. However, be careful here, and we're going to talk about the portal next. This page, as the college changes its system, as the providers of the online information change their requirements, the links off this page may be in flux, may change over the next few years. The Online Public Access Catalog, the OPAC. All right, it's pretty much like any given web page. There's a keyword search. You type in what you want to know, you hit enter or hit go. It goes and it says whether the library has those books for you. Then you look for information in that, what's presented to you on that screen, and it's going to be a call number. You jot that down and you go to the shelf, find the book, take it to the counter, check it out. So the Online Public Access Catalog. This catalog, it's kind of new. They've only had it about a year. You can put requests on it. You can renew your materials through it. You can check your own account. How many books do you have out? When are they due? It also keeps track of your reading history. So there's a lot of features to that with this new system that's been in use for about a year now. And that would be a view of what a search return would bring you. They use actual pictures of the covers of the book and quite a nice listing of the bibliographic information about any given book that might fit your research. Quick note, we use the Dewey Decimal Subject Classification System in the Yuba College Library. If you just want to browse shelves, you know you're going to do a report about certain artists, you would go to the shelves and just browse the 700 books. Or you were going to do a history report, you'd go to the 900s. Like I know the 976 is U.S. history. So you would want to maybe just do that and bypass the technology altogether. But it's not going to, when you have maybe 500 books, this would work. But if you have 20,000 books, it'd be a little more difficult. So that's called browsing, and probably not the best way to find your research materials. When you do any kind of a search, whether you're looking for a book in the online catalog, or you're using Google to find things, or you're going to use one of the magazine databases we'll talk about in a moment, you need to sit and think a minute, and you need to talk a single word. Let's say you want to look up dogs. Well, it's going to bring back an awful lot of stuff. But if you want to go to dog veterinarian surgery, that's going to be more exacting and would bring different articles to you. Also keep in mind, when at Google, if there's a phrase that you want, many search engines do this, a phrase, man's best friend, say, you put quotes around it, and it will find web pages where that phrase occurs on a web page. So it constrains the search, and you will find just that phrase. Also, you can use what's called Boolean searches, which would be dogs, not coyotes, or something, and or coyote mixes. Again, dogs or coyotes, dogs or wolves, and you would get articles for any number of things. But you can manipulate your words using the Boolean search qualifiers. How do you organize research, or what is out there to help you? There's a number of web pages that if you subscribe to them, you bring web addresses to it, it will keep track of that for you. There's also just the old style of writing it on an index card, or just if you're out working and you keep your laptop or something small for typing notes into. Also, we have the online databases allows you to create accounts that will also keep track of the materials that you find within their systems. And you can access your own list, a list of found materials. So, examples of the web pages, creating your own bibliography. Now, this is a serious topic, plagiarism. It is not to be done. It's taking someone else's work as your own. You can get in a lot of trouble doing this. You can get thrown out of school. The ways to avoid it, of course, is to paraphrase, summarize, or direct quotes. And you learn this with the different publication style guides. If it's APA, MLA, you have to make sure you list where you got the sources. You have a list of sources at the end of your research paper, and then you use parenthetical referencing. So you would make sure you say Joe Smith said dogs are wonderful, and then say it came from his book, The Wonderful Dog, and what page and what year and things like that. So as long as you can use other people's information to support your own, but make sure you reference it. Now, another word, reference, which is another type. This is in contrast to referencing something as to giving credit, but this is reference resources. Reference books tend to not leave a library, and we have a number of shelves filled with reference books. They tend to be encyclopedias, handbooks, dictionaries, not the type of book you take home and curl up with next to the fire to read. They tend to be the books that you run over to the photocopier and copy 2 or 3 pages out. Very useful. Especially for finding those phrase words. If you don't know anything about your subject, go to the reference area and look for an encyclopedia of the topic. There could be the psychology encyclopedia, the encyclopedia of philosophy, things like that. They're very specialized. It's not like the World Book or Britannica that covers every subject. There are encyclopedic sets of reference materials that are more exacting on what you would want to do. And then, of course, if all this you get lost at all this, that's what the librarian is for. There's a librarian in the library, of course there is, and you ask them for help, and we're experts at this, and they will help you find what you need. Online databases. Now, again, this is the web page gateway of sorts to the online databases that are provided here at Yuba College. But a better way to access the online databases is to go through the My Campus portal, the student portal. And here's a short video. Evaluating your resources, digital or print. This is a checklist that comes out of the Harbrace Handbook. It's a few years old, but it's still very, very good. You want to know, what are the author's credentials? Is this man an expert? Is this woman very knowledgeable? Is he or she licensed to know what they're talking about, so to speak? Do others speak in the writing about the writer as an authority? Are they known by other people? Does the work that you're reading contain evidence indicating that the author is well informed? Does the work contain evidence that the author is prejudiced in any way? Do they have a bias? Do they like one thing better than something else? Is the work recent enough to provide up-to-date information? That's where there's a shelf life. The older stuff can be more accurate, but if it's too old, it's out of date and not accurate for what is happening at the time. Does the work provide documentation to support important points? Do they have a list of references at the end? And do they cite where they're getting this information? Again, does it have a bibliography, and do they identify the sources that they use? What can you discover about the company or organization that has published that work? Okay, something to keep in mind, and it helps you determine credibility of the material. And this is eBrary. This is what their page looks like. There'd be a link to it from the student portal. And it has the red star because this presentation is targeted to the nursing students. So there would be it's a considerable source of medical information. Credo reference, probably not, but it is one of the sources. Net library, again, credible, usable source for your nursing research. That's how that looks. And you can get a free account. ProQuest, a huge database, and contains many journals, professional journals from the medical field. Congressional Quarter Researcher, probably not one you'd use for nursing. Opposing Viewpoints, more if you're in the 8th grade doing a research. Britannica Online, it's an encyclopedia. Probably should shy away from that. Again, however, if there's concepts and words you don't understand, an encyclopedia is very good at starting your thinking. But do not ever quote an encyclopedia, print or a comprehensive encyclopedia, either print or digital. That's a lot of these online databases provide a facsimile, a PDF, what looks like the original document to you. So it's very nice in that respect. It's not just something printed out on a computer. Newsbank is a database of thousands newspapers, global newspapers. I'm not sure it would be used for the nursing classes, but probably useful. Again, if you wanted to see what was kind of a current thing, current medical needs or something in any given community or part of the country. Now, we're going to talk about that off-campus web resources. You need to log in for that. However, this page is not, this is probably antiquated because if you go through the portal, as shown in that video, you wouldn't need this page. JSTOR is a retrospective and more in literature and some of the sciences and things like that, but not something we would look at for the nursing classes. However, Nursing Resource Center definitely has it in the name. So something that you would want to look for at the bottom of that list on the student portal. RAND is a digital statistic collector. Again, not probably something that you folks in the nursing program would necessarily need. Wilson Web, more about current issues. Country Watch, this actually was developed by the CIA, so I've been told. Now your open search engine, Google, yippee. Ask, there used to be old ones called Lycos and things like that. You're going to search the open web. Now, that doesn't mean you won't find information, particularly that might be useful in your nursing classes, but it goes back to where did it come from? Is it a credible source? And your instructors want to make sure you're using up-to-date, accurate, credible information in your reports. You also have pathfinders and search directories. Yahoo used to be the leader in that type of thing, but I did a quick test at Infomine. I typed in flu, just influenza, and it was coming back from journals. So you might, when you get a chance, try that Infomine, UCR-EDU. Now Wikipedia. I would say I'm a proponent, but cautiously. You shouldn't quote a comprehensive encyclopedia once you're out of the 6th grade. The thing with Wikipedia is that almost anyone can edit it, but that's part of its power, is that it is democratized and free information. There is no single group of gatekeepers as to what folks are allowed to know. And as you see, they're fact checkers. There's folks who are experts, but who says they're experts? Whereas if you have a large body of knowledge, the crowd, sometimes they're as accurate, if not more so. There is no accountability, but with that comes self-correcting. When one thing is put down and it's wrong, 5 other people come along who are more expert or more knowledgeable and will change it. So, but again, that's sporadic. It's not a set deal. It's not a controlled environment. Hence, you can't really trust it. But they do list at the bottom of most every entry a list of references, real world, credible information that went to help build that entry that you're looking at on Wikipedia. So it's good for background research, it's good for its references, and it's good for finding search terms. And in conclusion, remember, never hesitate to ask the librarian for help. The future always comes too fast and in the wrong order, according to Alvin Toffler. Thank you.